Yeah, let's do it.
It's easy to sum it up. We're talking about practice.
Because it's about as casual as it gets.
What's the problem now?
That's a clown question, bro.
I think we ought to send him beating at least.
World champions!
Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Philadelphia, looking as only you can look. Woo!
Here we go.
It's always a big
I would have guaranteed that AJ would be the one that wants to dump it on Sirianni.
Let's see.
And Devontae, and sneaker way.
Uh-oh. Good move there.
Oh.
Great maneuver.
A little okey doke.
The best shower Nick Sirianni will ever have. Welcome to the Philly Podcast, brought to you by the Broken Bell Network. Tonight, Chris and Eric discuss the free agency signings of the NFL and the moves that impacted your 2024 NFL Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, here are your hosts, Chris and Eric.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Philly Podcast, brought to you by the Broken Bell Network. And tonight, like our intern Andy said, we are going to be talking about the recent NFL free agent period signing, legal tampering period signings. And we'll also discuss the Eagles flying the coop, let's say. So it's been a pretty wild couple days to the start of NFL free legal tampering period, I should say. Chris, how are you, buddy?
This is what the free agent period is making me do.
It's making you drink, huh?
Woo, man, oh man, it was between that and the trades and everything else. Like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's put it this way: it was pretty easy to keep up with the Eagles since they did absolutely nothing. They were just sitting around, which some people expected, some people did not expect. But there was a lot of interesting signings that came out during the first couple hours of the legal tampering period. Which one was the most shocking for you?
The C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade.
Oh, okay. No, I was talking about signings. I was like,
signings. Oh, well, signings. You know, we talked about this backstage. You know, good player. And I know we're going to disagree on this because you're going to say it's the market. But there is no way in anywhere. I'm going to try and see. I'm going to buy Madden 25 just to see how low I can go and how I can the lowest I can go to offer Milton Williams a contract. Because 4 years at $104 million, $26 million a year, that's bananas. That is bananas. And and I know that the Patriots got a revamped defense and they have this and they have that, but they don't have a Jalen Carter. And listen, Milton Williams has been good the last 2 years that I can recall, and he's a great player. I don't know if he's a $26 million a year player for a guy who's only like 50% of the time.
But no, I agree with you. It's we wonder if he's. I mean, we wonder if he's actually like worth that kind of cash. But at the same time, it's like I'm not upset by it because like he was one of the guys that we expected to go. Him, Josh Sweat, they were the two big names that everyone expected to be gone from the Eagles this offseason. Um, I was surprised that he got the money that he did, especially since like leading up to this season, nobody really thought twice about Milton Williams. And it falls under with him, a guy that's in a contract year, and this is what happens. They have a good season, the depending on the role they play, whether they're a full time starter or they're a rotational player, and they just kill it. This is just how it works. And
Oh
like
yeah,
we all knew that we all knew that he wasn't coming back.
no, and you're 100% right. And it actually makes me feel good that he signed for $26 million and not something less. Like like because let's be realistic. If you would have signed Milton Williams to any kind of deal like that and let Zach Bond walk, I think it would have been a terrible decision. I mean, he has, as our intern just had up, he has 11 and a half career sacks.
What is Micah Parsons going to get paid at this point?
He- th-
A,
Whatever
a bajillion dollars?
whatever he asked for. I don't know. See, I don't. I know Miles Garrett got paid a lot of money, and I don't know if Miles Garrett and Micah are on the same level. I think Miles Garrett's better, and it's not like, and he's not. It's like it's close. I think because of Micah's age, he'll have more guaranteed money as opposed to annual salary, if that makes sense.
Well, it does. It does make sense. I mean, but that whole thing that like you brought up Miles Garrett, that whole re-signing for them didn't make any sense. That team's a
No,
disaster. They're not going anywhere. What? Why stay there?
and that listen, he wanted to
Hey,
win.
can you trade me? Oh, I'll take that money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, Andy the intern said it himself. Like, it's like they literally made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Like we joke around that old mafia saying from that movie, The Godfather, which I'm hoping everybody here has seen. Probably Andy the intern hasn't seen it, but that's just you know because when you look at when you look at Milton Williams' stats, look at his stats his first 2 years, and
Yeah.
then look at his stats when Jalen Carter arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a complete product of Jalen Carter.
Yeah, this is a statistics of opportunity, and if that's what you're implying, I don't think anyone's going to deny that.
Yeah, I mean, look at 2022. He had 9 tackles for losses, and that was the Hassan Reddick. That guy, that guy just don't know how to make a contract work. But he had this Hassan Reddick there, and he had the 9 tackles for losses. He just he bet. And listen, I wish the guy nothing but luck. Like I wish him nothing but luck. I'll never hate on a player for getting the money that he deserves. I'll never hate on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what free agency is all about. They cash in. Some of these guys get that one opportunity to cash in, and he did. I can't I can't fault him. Same with Josh Sweat. You knew that he was going to go, but the the guys that left via actual free agency, I was more surprised with the whole Isaiah Rodgers leaving. I really thought that he might stay because he wanted a chance to start, and the whole thing happened. Like they knew last week that they were going to get rid of that they were going to let Darius Slay walk. Like it's already been reported that they talked to him last week about it, and he knew that today was going to be the day that he was officially going to be cut. That Isaiah Rodgers signing kind of went under the radar after the bombshell news of C.J. Gardner-Johnson being traded. So I would really like to know like what those conversations were and how we got to that part, because now we're out. Darius Slay, like I said, we kind of figured he would go. There's 3 guys that we knew, 2 definitely could go, and 1 was a possibility. And turns out they're all gone. I would have done something to keep Isaiah Rodgers around. Like I just want to know if the Eagles even made an offer, made an attempt. I mean, if he just took a contract and ran, that's fine. That's what the whole point of free agency is. But if they didn't even make an attempt, then I'd be like, oh, come on, man. Like, what's your plan? Like, Howie, what's your plan? I'm not doubting you. I'm just asking you, what's your plan?
Maybe we should doubt him.
I think that would be highly foolish. At this point, there's if Jalen doesn't pan out and like do a performance year, there will be a restructuring there. Like money will be juggled there. I know, Chris, you love to call it a fugazi number, and I do hear you on that. I do. People will push back and go, "You don't know what you're talking about." They may say that to you, but I do know what you mean by like those numbers and that number. That money can always be kicked down the road, but there is always going to be some sort of reckoning, whether it's an injury. Right? There's an injury that can make that a reckoning, or there can just be an early retirement that makes it a reckoning. I do think that Howie is very good at restructuring. He has kind of set the NFL mold for that. That is what everyone is trying to do now with I think a lot of teams have dead cap money now, and they're doing it in such a way. However, all that to say, I don't think Howie's not doing nothing. I think he's going to wait for quite a few players to come off of see what's left in June, July, August. There are going to be players.
I mean, he's also, the market's going crazy. We always know the market goes crazy the first couple of days. I mean, it's,
Wasn't there a deal done in 8 minutes?
Yeah. So I'm going to let Eric bring this up because I shared it to him last night, and it was the contract that a New York Giants wide receiver got. And I'm going to let Eric take the lead on this.
It makes me, it infuriated me, to be quite honest with you. Like, if I was a Giants fan, I'd be losing my goddamn shit after
never
that.
Go to a football game ever again after seeing that.
No, never. I mean, you let Saquon Barkley walk out the door last season. Okay, he was arguably your most popular player, your most talented player that they have on that team. You let him go, and he signs, what was it, 3 years, $30 million with the Eagles. And
I think it was it was like 3 years, 35 or 30, 3 years of 35.
Yeah, okay. So sitting there, play the whole season, it all plays out. This offseason,
This is just like, guys, I'm sorry. I can't hold, like, watching Eric Boyle on how bad this is just makes me laugh. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Well, then you see, like, their big news is they re-signed wide receiver Darius Slayton. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Darius Slayton, 3 years, $36 million. How the fuck do you not pay Saquon Barkley? And don't get me wrong, their offensive line is absolute garbage. Okay, he wasn't going to do anything near what he did this past season with the Eagles on the New York Giants. I totally understand it. I totally get it. And you know what? People are right. He would not have done that. But how are you justifying that dickhead general manager that they have, who, by the way, because he made himself look like a friggin' asshole on Hard Knocks, has gotten the NFL canceled from Hard Knocks? Let that sink in. That's the other one. Let that freaking sink in. This guy not only loses Saquon Barkley, but he gets the NFL kicked off of Hard Knocks. And now they're going to follow Bill Belichick at North effing Carolina. big. So listen. So now they're sitting here. Darius Slayton is their big ass signing, and you now have to justify to the New York Giant fan base that this guy was worth the money when he was never fucking good in the first place. Yeah, it's a passing league, blah, blah, blah. I get it's a passing league.
He's being facetious.
I know he is. He is. I'm joking around. I'm joking back because I was leading up to who the fuck is throwing the ball in New York?
Listen, the New York Giants.
I don't know. Are you available for next season?
Darius Slayton might as well go into Pittsburgh. He might have a better opportunity to catch balls from a phantom. I don't know. But that's your signing. Darius Slayton.
We'll get into Pittsburgh real quick because that's another.
I need Tylenol.
You look like Clark Griswold after he went off his rant about his Christmas bonus from the Jelly of the Month Club.
I was at the doctor today. I had great blood pressure until you brought this up. Screw you, Chris.
Had.
Like the New York Giants,
son of a bitch,
in a matter of a season and a half, have pissed off their fan base. Saquon Barkley is going to be forgotten as a Giant.
Thank God.
Got Hard Knocks canceled for regular season, off season.
Ever.
You offered $3 million more. $3 million more to Saquon. Or to Darius Slayton.
Yeah, because that guy's gonna have 2,000 yards receiving next year.
And again, we again, it just goes back to I know, and then I sit there and I think about it. I said all during the season. I know the Giants in their right mind couldn't pay Saquon that money because of the Daniel Jones situation. And then I'm like, all right. I don't know what the hell the Giants are doing. I just don't. And I don't know who their quarterback is. I know they have DeVito. But
Cutlets.
Yeah. And then, we have breaking news, Giants still can't do anything right. And then you have, I'm going to segue into this. The Pittsburgh Steelers have two good wide receivers. Someone tell me who's playing quarterback?
I'm telling you right now, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Which is wild.
I'm calling it right now. It's going to be Aaron freaking Rodgers that's going to be throwing the ball to DK Metcalf and that head case George Pickens.
It's going to be a wild team. That's going to be one of those teams where you're like, it's going to be more, I think, drama than actual highlight reels.
Well, here's the funny thing about Pittsburgh. Getting DK Metcalf was, he can be a little bit of a head case at times too. So now you have a complete diva in George Pickens. You have DK Metcalf, who's 32 years old. At some point he's going to start declining, and they restructure him and give him they sign him to a really nice deal. And then they're talking about bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Whatever happened to that pillar of stability in Pittsburgh? They're just going off the deep end. Is literally the GM for the Giants, is he pulling double duty? Because that sounds like something that he would do.
They're just it goes back to that that famous Mike Tomlin stat. He hasn't finished this. He's never been a season under 500. That's what it is.
And that's going to put seats. That's going to put butts in the seats as long as they're a winning city. The Steelers and Tomlin's going to go down as a legend, as he should. But I think that's going to be really. It's going to be. He is going to deal with less football and more blah 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 than he would like to probably deal with.
Yeah, well,
if they go with Rodgers.
Oh God, I hope they don't. I really hope
Listen,
they don't.
listen,
I was really kind of hoping that Rodgers would just disappear.
listen. The last time the Steelers were relevant in football was um, Saquon Barkley was 13 years old. Think about that. That's when they won the Super Bowl. Joe Coffin,
Well,
checking in. I work with Joe at my new job. Russell Wilson, I heard he's visiting Cleveland.
But that's actually not a bad move for him to move over to Pittsburgh and kind of vet
Well, that's where he
vet
was
that
last
up.
year.
I mean, to vet that up, I'm saying to stay put, vet it up, make sure, that might be the missing piece for him. Do you know what I'm saying? Not a
Yeah,
bit.
that mm, mm.
and you know what?
That
Like,
team is just hell.
yeah, and Ben's coming out of retirement. Yeah, him and Carter Hart are hanging out at the bars. Yeah, I don't know. If they can get a good quarterback, like if Russell Wilson just does stay there, I mean, it's really not. I mean, Russell knows the offense. He's not. Bettis was their running back. Yeah, you ain't lying. um, but like Kenneth Gainwell signed there.
Yeah. So now they got two small backs.
Yeah,
Which
but see, he is small, but I think he plays. I really think him playing with Saquon is going to make Kenneth Gainwell better. He's going to take the starting job from Jalen Warren. Because I think Najee Harris signed with the Chargers, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was like a 1-year deal. I think something like $9 million.
So many of these
So, I mean,
early
yeah.
ones were 1-year
And you know
deals.
what? Joe brought up a good point. I completely forgot that Russell played with DK Metcalf.
I was
Completely
just
forgot.
I know that's why I'm leaving it up. Joey Coffin. Joey Coffin. You're absolutely right. And that's what that was what I was trying to drive. I think Russell is going to be like, yo, let's do and I'm gonna bring it back here to this. I think we all said this. If Tomlin makes this work, he will be the greatest coach of all time. If he makes it focus on football, it's pretty damn impressive. So we did mention Slay to Steelers, right?
Yeah, they're going they got Russell, they got Darius Slay, who, listen, he's a good veteran. I don't care what anyone says. Whatever happened in social media last week that may have led to the trading of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Listen. The only thing that questions me about that trade about C.J. Gardner-Johnson is that the player that they drafted for was the worst guard in the league.
8 people came running up to me on the job and they're like, yo, Andy, did you hear? And I'm like, what? They're like, CJ. I'm like, that's a lie. That's a punk. You're punking me. Right to my phone. Refresh everywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, that trade, like, that is right up Howie's alley. Getting a guy back who's at the end of his rookie contract, who has first round tools, and could use a retooling of his career, kind of like Mekhi Becton. So I understood it because I was like, that's a Howie move right there. I was like, that's Howie trying to be, and I've said it before, the smartest guy in the room. So, and I'm sure that he's talked with his coordinators on everything that's been going on, like who's being let go, who's being traded. So, and of course the head coach. But yeah, that trade just had that was a Howie move all over it to get somebody back on an expiring deal.
Yeah, the trade was a Howie move. It was the end of not being on the hook for his money at the end of his contract, because you're gonna need that money that could have been possibly dead cap money that you're gonna have to use to sign Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter at the end of the day is your is your number one priority on that defensive side of the ball. Now that you have whatchamacallit locked up, now that you have Zach Bond lined up for the next 3 years, then you go to in 3 years you pick up the option on Quinyon or you sign him to an extension. And then the following year you can pick up the option and sign Cooper DeJean to an extension because while as great as Cooper DeJean was, he was still a second round pick. So you have
Right.
a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, I
And
mean, and
I mean realistically, I mean let's be honest. I mean how good is Cooper DeJean? He only had one interception all year. I'm kidding.
well, I mean,
I'm
to
kidding.
me,
I'm kidding.
well, yeah, no, but I mean, but the thing that got me is like everybody, like all over the airwaves here, of this stupid ass people that get paid to do sports talk on our airwaves out here. They're freaking out over guys like Orlin Burks. You know, I'm like, he's a depth player. Hey, okay, good for him. He went somewhere and he got some money, you know, but they're all worried about, oh, we're losing all this depth. Our core is still there on our defense. Like all the core players are there.
Yeah.
I mean, what other than Slay? But all the core guys are there.
Rizzle, I was just joking about Cooper DeJean only having one interception. It was a joke. Listen, he didn't let up any passing touchdowns this year. That's a ridiculous stat.
That's amazing for a rookie. It's amazing for a rookie. I mean, I know he missed time because he was injured, but I mean,
Right.
he literally played a majority of the season, and him and Quinyon had a great season. If
Yeah.
Cooper plays the same way again next year, he will be a lot to a salary cap. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but we don't have
yeah,
to worry about that for another. We don't have to worry about that until
That's a 2026 concern.
that's a 27 concern. That's not even 26. That's
Well,
27.
I think if he's talking extensions, right? If he has another, so I think what Joseph's saying is if Cooper plays the same exact way, I think at 26 you actually do have to start. I don't care if you're a second round pick or not. I think you actually do have to start talking early extensions with him. So that is going to be a lot to the salary cap. I do agree with that. That was a concern, but hey, it's a good concern, right? That means he had another dynamite year.
yeah, absolutely. And that's and you did say if he has another year like he did last year or improves, because a lot of these decisions to let some of these guys go elsewhere is falling on the fact, you know, that you're looking for guys like Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. You're looking for these young guys to get better and excel even more in their second year. So it's definitely something to look at, and you. That's what I was saying. Like you have your core base on your on your defense still there, and that includes Reed Blankenship. You know, like him with Cooper DeJean have turned into a hell of a duo back there. So, and he's not old either. So you got, you literally do. It's like this is why Howie is basically saying, look, this is going to be a rough off season. Don't look for the big splash. Because look at it this way too. They don't need to do anything on offense. You got you have the quarterback. You have the two wide receivers. You got the running back. It's up in the air of what's going to happen with Dallas Goedert. There's rumors that they're looking for a 4th or a 5th round pick for him. So if someone offers it to him, Dallas Goedert's probably gone. So you'll be looking to get a tight end, which they'll probably address that in the draft and see if they can or get somebody in free agency. But I think they believe and highly believe in Grant Calcaterra. So
as the number one, so like I need that. Yeah, Grant.
Yeah.
Calcaterra is looking and shaping up. I will say Dallas Goedert in the last leg, so maybe the last third of the season was starting to become a weekly name and contributed heavily. But and in the playoffs contributed very heavily. But I'm not. I wouldn't. Would you be shocked or sad if they moved on to Calcaterra? Well, running back wise, this is where this draft is favoring running backs, right?
Yes.
All right. So does that mean you look for give Caltera the 1 and then look for a veteran 2 tight end who can also throw some blocking? I mean, Washington's willing to pay like $7 or $8 million for another year, or maybe $6 or $7 million another year with Ertz.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think they're comfortable with Calcaterra, and again, circling back to with these players that they have, they're looking for them to excel in this next season. They're looking for a lot of more production. So it's an interesting dynamic how this offseason's playing out. I mean, you have, like I said, you have Saquon Barkley, you have Shipley. They just went and today they signed AJ Dillon. So they have 3 running backs on the roster right now. I don't know if they'd be looking to add one in the draft. Probably not. I'm they're going to look to add to the tight end room. But yeah, I mean, on offense, they're pretty set. They honestly are. They're pretty set. So there was no big splash that had to be made offensively. And I don't think it was ever in the plans to make a splash on defense. I think this was the plan all along. It was to let these guys go find their deals, go get paid, and keep the money on the low key, so they can work towards these 1-year deals with some of these guys that are still out there, like Justin Simmons? He's still out there, and he's coming out saying,
Rizzle brought that one right up. Thank you, so that's a Fangio guy, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So he was with him in Denver.
30 let me see, 31.
But do you want?
Yes, 31.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's a little tin, but we got you, baby, big girl.
All
you
right.
sound great.
Good. Do you want to sign somebody who, even though he played for Fangio, do we want to go down that road again? And listen, the whole thing. So before I had lost, for some reason, all my power, my sound went out. I think the Oren Burks thing, I think people are looking too much into it. It's
going to the Bengals. I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking they're looking too much into it. I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. took a big step forward this year when he had to
Yes,
go
he did.
play.
Yes, he did.
I think later round tight end. Yeah, if you can focus on defense. Listen, I'm with you. I'll get here's my thing. If they have the 32nd pick, and if for some reason or another he's not going to be there, but if Jaylen Warren is there, you have. Is that his name? Who's the tight end from Penn State? Jaylen Warren is the running back. Jeremy, I know I'm losing it, but the kid Warren from Penn State, the tight end. If he's there at 32, you got to take him. He's not going to be. He's that good. But listen, this draft is a big defensive tackle draft. I know this is, the draft that's coming up. This is.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. You're talking about Tyler Warren?
Tyler Warren, yeah.
Yes, Tyler Warren. I think he is projected to go like top 10, dude. Stop it.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying if he's there at 32, you got.
There's no way he's lasting top 20.
I get that, but I'm saying if he's there at 32, you draft him.
Okay,
but we're already discussing that he won't be.
If he won't. That's a no team is leaving unless you find out Tyler Warren.
How many garage beers did you have?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Should we have drafted Jalen Carter at 9?
What are you doing?
I'm just saying, Jalen Carter shouldn't have been there at 9. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you're hoping a dude is at 32.
Yes.
Right. And Jalen Carter still going in the top 10, while crazy that he did go at 9 and probably should have gone at like maybe 4, right? 5 at minimum.
No.
not
Jalen
number.
Carter should have been the top pick.
It was a weird year that was going on with stuff. There was a lot of like
He drove. He was in a car that drove really, really fast. He was playing Fast and the Furious.
there was a lot of weird stuff that year where like hold on, like there was also other things between stories getting him driven down, his value down, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was more than just like that. Like but I think my point still I love you, dude. I love you. I think you do this just to test me. All right. But there is no chance in hell that he'll be there. So what do you and I want to bring up what Jeremy in the comments, he goes and wow.
We're not putting that one
We're
up.
not putting that one up. Thank you, buddy. This one here, they made the offense almost dummy proof for the new offer. What do you think about that? Is that true?
I mean, 1, 2, run, throw to Devontae, throw to Jahan Dotson, throw to AJ Brown. I don't Grant Calcaterra because yeah. I also don't foresee Saquon Barkley having the kind of season that he had this year. And watch, I say that he's going to break the NFL rushing record. Like just because I said that, he's going to break the NFL rushing record. Because we joked around, we said it for like 3 years. Oh, if Saquon was on the Eagles, he'd have 2,000 yards. No one in their right mind ever thought Saquon Barkley would have 2,000 yards rushing with the Eagles. And he did it easily. like
yeah, well, they gotta watch him next year, man. Because historically, when you rush for 2,000 yards, your season after that is not a good season. So, I kind
of think that's why they signed AJ Dillon today. Like, I think that was a good pickup.
That really was a good pickup. That honestly was. Also, it's they have to be setting up for Jalen to start passing more too. They have to, because Jalen Hurts has, like, since he's been here, has had a pretty decent defense. I mean, except for last year's collapse or the year before this past year.
And 2021.
But yeah, so I mean, he's had a good defense to like kind of support him. I'm not going to say like back him up. I'm going to say support him. But he definitely.
And that's where the Jalen hate comes in, and I'm not going to sit around for the slander. I'm sorry that my GM is better at putting a winning product on the field than your GM.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly am not concerned about Howie at all with what's going on this offseason. I'm really not.
So I think one of those things that's happening is people are getting a little loosey with their lips, where I am in agreement that any elite quarterback could have won with the defense and the line that they Eagles put together this year. I'm not saying that they're not like top five. But listen. I'm not saying. But what they're trying to imply is you could have thrown a goddamn potato in there and you would have had the same results. If you would have had someone who was not the top 8 quarterbacks, that result still would. He is elite. What more do you need the man to do?
Listen, Eric, I think you had posted something on our Facebook page that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles broke the internet because 1, they won the Super Bowl, and 2, Jalen Hurts got MVP, and the complete narrative changed. The whole narrative changed.
It absolutely changed. Because everyone's talking. People don't view Jalen Hurts as an elite quarterback. They view, and he blew it up because he won the Super Bowl and he won MVP. He blew it up because he's not a Lamar Jackson, he's not a Joe Burrow, he's not a Josh Allen by what elite standards are. Even though he's an elite quarterback, he blew up the narrative. And everyone is trying to pull hate on this guy like crazy when you can't hate him. He just won the damn Super Bowl. He just won the MVP of the Super Bowl.
So you just brought up Burrow. All right. You just brought up Lamar Jackson. You just brought up Josh Allen. and we brought up Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has done something that none of those eyes could do, and that is beat Patrick Mahomes twice. Once in the regular season and once in the Super Bowl. Don't tell me I'm tired of it's just a lazy narrative. I think it was Cam Newton who said a couple weeks ago.
Thank you. I was just about to say he's Cam Newton with a happy ending.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how I see Jalen. Jalen finishing the job Cam couldn't do, right?
Cam Newton said that if Jalen Hurts was in the AFC, he wouldn't be able to win an AFC.
Oh.
Jalen Hurts is like 14-1 against the AFC. His one loss is in the Super Bowl.
Cam, you bum, and that's why you're scum, dude.
I just think you had I think when you put out stats and you have to do your research, again, I'm doing this podcast in my basement with a plaque behind me of the vet being blown up, and underneath it is T.O. before he took his pills in 2006. So, but I always have my stats. Like, I always have my stuff to back it up. Like, I don't want to sit there and look like a fool to the 30 viewers who are watching right now. I want them to come back next week and be like, hey, this guy actually isn't that bad and knows what he's talking about. I don't get paid for it. Would I love to get paid for it? Yes. But, people make, people make ridiculous amounts of money for saying the most obscene things on the radio, and then they get a reply on the phone calls from said idiots, as I'm going to segue into what Eric calls our Philadelphia fan base when they're idiots.
Philadelphia. That is it. That is 100% it. Idiot Delphians. That's all there is to it. Yeah, but no, you're right. You come with the stats. You come with the backing of what your argument is. And I mean, I always tell people, oh, well, look, if you want to come on the show and you want to debate, I'll just sit in the corner and drink my tea while you and my co-host go at it, because I'm telling you, you're going to lose. And yeah, so you're right though. You come with the stats.
Right. And
we don't drink tea. We don't drink tea on this podcast. What do we drink?
Garage beer. And then like you said,
sponsorship.
Yeah. And then
call me
maybe. And then you sit there and like, I find it funny that you call these people out on social media, and I've had one person respond. That was Terrence Parson, who's Micah Parsons' brother, who I really think we're going to end up doing lots of stuff with him, because we were respectful. We talked football. We kept it real. The hate wasn't there. Like, we always joke around that. He's a Cowboys fan. He's got to hate the Eagles. He's got to hate the Eagles. And I respect that. I don't like the Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan. That's how it goes. But I'm also going to keep it real when it comes to stats, when it comes to wins. I'm not going to go with that Jalen Hurts is carried, or that Dak Prescott had a season. Who do you have? He had 2,000 yard, or what do you have? He had a 1,000-yard receiver. He had a 1,000-yard rusher. He had a 10-sack guy, and he had a 10-interception guy. And they didn't get out of the first round. Like, how is that? Like, at some point, the quarterback has to be held accountable. And I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's the hype that he's better than everyone else. He's not better than everyone else.
After 10 seasons, when you got to say this is his year to prove everybody wrong, after 10 seasons, you know what you got. That's all there is to it. You know what you got.
And listen, the Cowboys fans' argument is going to be, well, he's 9-4 against the Eagles. Cool. Donovan McNabb was like 11-3 or 11-4 against the Cowboys, and he's got no Super Bowl wins. I don't care about Donovan McNabb's winning percentage against the Cowboys. I care about his winning percentage in the playoffs and in games that counts when he's not throwing up in the middle of the field. That's what I care about.
We remember number 5.
I hold grudges.
We will always love you.
So, just to make sure we're checking all the free agency boxes, we We cleaned up on Slay.
I mean,
Mekhi Becton has not done anything yet. That is still out there.
He hasn't signed with anybody.
Yep.
There's rumors that him and the Eagles are still talking,
Yes.
but
His price has
it
gone
sounds
exponentially up now because of the market, unless
Yeah.
they wait it out and see who else sniffs. But
well, I mean, look at it this way: the guy's a former first-round pick who had a resurgence in his career this season with the Eagles, and he's looking at what Milton Williams just got. So yeah, that plays into a factor. That's a talking point.
can we? Daniel Jones got $14 million from the Colts today.
Yeah, to honestly compete with Anthony Richardson for their starting position.
right, and I think it's in reality, I think he's going to end up competing for the second position eventually.
Think about that franchise, where they were at, and they refused to protect Andrew Luck. Can you imagine Andrew Luck on the Eagles with the offensive lines that we put together?
Within the last decade, right? Within the last decade.
Andrew Luck was drafted in what, 2012? 2013?
I would say
he,
our O-line has been like consistent for the last decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was number one pick in 2012. And you got to figure 2013 is like when the so Jason Kelce was already there. Lane Johnson was there. Evan Matthews was there. I mean, they had
You had your core, and then
Chip Kelly went in like
a wrecking ball.
I was going to say something else, but as you can see, I'm having a stroke when I think of Chip Kelly. But like, think about the offensive line that he never had. Like, it would have been his 11th year in the league, or 12th year, and he would have been a starting quarterback if they would have just protected the man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to protect your quarterback. That's all there is to it, and they didn't do that. And I trust me, I don't think Anthony Richardson is that great, but I think he's better than Daniel Jones. And now they're bringing Daniel Jones in to compete with this kid. Because Jones and Kevin Cobb have the same agent.
Kevin Cobb.
Oh.
Joe, so I generally agree that we've had great offensive lines since the early 2000s. I'm talking a consistent year in and year out where there's been, because Chip Kelly did take a wrecking ball to this team. So that's that.
He absolutely killed him.
I think I would fight him if I saw him in the street. I'd hit him with one of these. Like a 1924 boxer.
Come up.
I think the Eagles, again, I say it all the time, and I'll say it. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, Joe Coughlin's right about the offensive line. It's been great since 2000s. I still think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I know they lost their starters, but I still think they're the best team in the NFC. The Lions lost both their coordinators.
Yes, they did.
Dallas has a new head coach. They have a whole new front office. Washington, I don't know if I think Washington's going to be good, but they were legitimately 5 or 6 plays away from being under 500. It was either 12-5 or 7-10. That's where they were.
So that Eagle, and I think that Eagles win gave them a lot more legitimacy and steam that they were expecting during that season. I am not taking away that. I think Jordan Love is very good. I think that needs to be Jaden Daniels. I'm sorry, is very good.
That's why you're Andy the intern.
No. I think he's good for the team. I do. I think he's good for the team. I think you guys are, as a lifelong fan of the Eagles, I think they are starting to restructure as a team that is going to be a good rivalry for the Eagles, and I'm excited to see it. And I get scared every time I see the Commanders come up with something.
Yeah, I get that, but they did solidify their offensive line by trading for a tackle, but they gave up a lot of draft capital.
They do have a lot of room to maneuver too. I believe they have a lot of cap space, right?
Yep, but they haven't. But who have they signed? They
Right.
signed Zach-
And I think
they
they're
signed
trying
Zach
play.
Ertz.
Everyone's playing the Howie game. Everyone.
They signed Zach Ertz. They re-signed Bobby Wagner.
$6.5 million is
I mean,
guaranteed
they're
for
gonna-
Ertz.
They have to. I'm hoping maybe for Washington's sake that they draft a tight end, because I don't know. They don't have a number 2 receiver. Their running backs stink, and anyone who thinks their running backs are good, Austin Eckler's washed.
You lost.
Brian-
You lost
Brian-
audio. We were talking about that. We think that's where this draft class is coming in. Everyone's going to pick up a few running backs in this draft class. What do you think about that?
Depends how your offensive line is.
Right. And they're still
Listen,
hurt, right? They still
yeah.
haven't picked up the significance.
The NFL is a copycat league. They're going to see what the Eagles did, and they're going to try and mirror it. And it can't be mirrored. Like, you have to have linemen who can block. Like, you go back to the play in the Super Bowl. Landon Dickerson blocked 2 dudes. And the second dude he blocked harder than he blocked the first one.
Eric, any worries Mekhi Becton signs with Washington to you?
He's not going to Washington.
I mean,
Yeah, bro.
if that's where he went, I mean, of course I would, not like that. That would concern me a little bit, because I mean, you're talking now, you're beefing up the line, which, I mean, that in the trenches is where you win and lose. So
Because there's talk Jack
And-
Driscoll might be looking there as well.
Steen. It would be Tyler Steen.
Steen, yeah, I was going to say it's Steen. Well,
Now,
let's
here's
see.
my-
I'm trying.
Now here's my thing. You want to go with. So if Mekhi Becton goes to Washington, which I don't think he does, what's he going as?
Probably a 3-year. What's he
Now,
going to get?
What position?
Oh,
Is it going to be guard? Is it going to be left tackle?
tackle. I was going to say probably left tackle. I think. So you with
So you're going to take him out of the spot where he struggled,
right.
and that's where it goes down to, it comes down to coaching. Like, I don't know who their offensive line coach is. I don't, but who. Let's just recap, and then we'll get back to the free agency talk. Jordan Mailata, Mekhi Becton, and Stoutland turned into all pro players.
Very true.
Does that stick with Becton when he leaves? Because you got to remember, Becton has only been here 1 year. Jordan's been here 7 years. I don't know if that can carry over. Shocking, the Sixers lost. I don't know if that can carry over into another team.
Right. So I think you're pointing out like the successes on the defense were because of like very solid performances by certain players, but you're also significantly saying that was also true for a lot of the offensive line as well.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Well, look at it this way too. I'm also looking. I'm over here. I'm looking at the Washington Commanders offseason so far. Okay, now their key departures. They lost safety Jeremy Chin to the Raiders, Jonathan Allen, the defensive tackle, to the Vikings, wide receiver Diami Brown to the Jags, and offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas to Cleveland. Which again, I don't know how Cleveland's signing anybody. They're terrible. They re-signed Bobby. They re-signed Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, their punter, Tress Way, and today they re-signed Marcus Mariota to a 1-year deal to back up Jaden Daniels. Now here's where the additions are, and this is where you build around a quarterback. They got Deebo Samuel in a trade, so that gives them another offensive weapon to go alongside Terry McLaurin. Your left tackle is now Laramie Tunsil, which I think is a huge trade that they got. That helps out immensely on that line. And then they also went out and they got defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw, who is not a bad player at all. He's a really good player. And they got safety Will Harris. I mean, just looking at that right now, I'm giving that an A+ offseason at this point in time. And there's rumors that they might. And there's rumors that they're still not done with the lines. That's how you build around a franchise quarterback. They're actually doing the right things. So Washington was tough this year. They're gonna be a team to watch next year. They really are. Now, granted, do I think Deebo Samuel's a little overrated? I really do, but he's a better number 2 than what they had.
Yeah, he is a good number 2. Yeah, I can agree with that. I forgot that I actually tell you, I forgot that they got Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, they have really gone out and really upgraded this offseason. And we're not even at the draft yet. So now, I mean, Washington to me is going to be a team to look out for. Dallas isn't doing anything, and well, yeah, we're not even going. The number 1 team in the world, Darius Slayton, the top guy.
You're starting to match the color. You're starting to match the color of the prism. I'm seeing your face turn red.
Yeah, just saying their name gets me annoyed. But no, I mean that so far this is a pretty good offseason for Washington, like with trades and free agency. So I mean they're a team to watch out for, and it all comes down to they're building around the quarterback, and just like with the Eagles and their young guys, Jaden Daniels has to excel in year 2. He has to excel. He has to get better. He can't. For them, all this money that they're spending to try and get better around him, he can't regress. So they're going to be a team to watch. They're going to be a team to watch. But there is a player that I just want to get your opinion on, who signed a pretty big deal to become the new starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. That would be one Sam Darnold. What do you think about that signing?
They signed Sam Darnold to $100 million to throw to no one. Intern Andy's going out to Seattle next week to try out for the football team for wide receiver. I mean, I like Nigma, but come on. You got rid of Tyler Lockett. You got rid of DK Metcalf, and then you gave $100 million to Sam Darnold. Like, that's just...
Yeah, and just to remind, we're not. I think there's maybe 3-4 top wide receivers in this draft. I think they're hoping. I think they're hoping for scraps. Maybe guys coming off of contracts and who didn't get their sweetheart deals that they were expecting. So they might be trying to pick up some scraps in the offseason. You got a couple of people to I think to look for. But I'll be honest with you. That is wild. Darnold is getting so much to be thrown out there to be like, nope, not you. Nope. Who are you? What? Aren't you the peanut ball? Aren't you the peanut guy?
After the last 2 games of the season that he had this past season, the last game of the year, and then in the playoffs, like the stinkers that he threw out there, I thought he played himself out of a starting position. I really did. I was like, again, here's the real Sam Darnold. And then Seattle comes in and says, hold my beer, and we're going to sign this guy. So, I mean, and that also tells me that Minnesota is really high on J.J. McCarthy. I mean, this kid's coming off of, an ACL tear. They're really high on him to let Darnold go out the door. So, I mean, it's been a weird free agency period. Been really weird.
It has been.
So we were at work today, and I've been asked to bring this conversation up for maybe the show tonight. It was maybe a trade proposal that you guys would like to hear, and it will be AJ Brown for. Well,
No.
Let him say it. Let him say it.
well, I mean, so Gonzalez is like a name that's being thrown around that's so versatile that he would make you kind of. And now this is a big if. That's a Patriots kind of a big if move, right? But there has to be some picks. There has to obviously be some, so we could pick up maybe like a number 2 at DE for this, right? But at the same point, AJ Brown.
Unless it's CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, that guy in Cincinnati who's okay, I'm not doing that trade. I'm not doing that trade.
The Triple Crown okay guy.
I mean, he's all right. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
I mean, he's also pulled off something that, like, every year someone wins a Super Bowl. Not every year someone Triple Crowns it.
Listen,
Are you talking about the one and only Jamare Chase?
Jamare Chase.
Jamare Chase. Hey, Ron.
He's a stud. He is so good to watch.
He's all right. I mean,
he's fun. He is fun.
Cooper DeJean stopped him on 4th down.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not unstoppable. I am not saying that it was nice to see him fail at his job this year when it needed him to be done most. I'm just saying he is still fun to watch because he is very talented.
Listen, all I know is I hope Jamar Chase steps on the Lego because him and Joe Burrow are the reason I lost 1 week of fantasy football. Just them two. They went off on that Thursday night game against Baltimore. I could have put in 14 players and still would have lost by 130. Nah. Hope he gets hit in the face with a brick.
Well, Chris, I got a name. I got a name for you. Cooper Kupp.
You can keep him. It's going to come with way too much dead cap space, and I know he's worth it.
It's going to be a 1-year proof-it deal.
No way.
I don't know if, again, I don't know where Cooper Kupp's going.
There's no proof. He's not going to get a prove-it deal. There's going to be a team willing to give him money and to sustain him for at least 3 years, maybe 4.
Who's going to give him money?
So, how much do you think he cost right now for him to be, to be re-signed? Like for them.
So if
we were just talking about this one today, so we looked this up.
If I'm a team, and I'm looking at what Eric's favorite player Darius Slayton got today, I'm looking at a 3-year deal, $42 million. I think he's a little bit better than Darius Slayton.
A little bit. But
I don't know where he would go. Then it's kind of like where I'm kind of glad that the Redskins traded for Deebo Samuel because now they can't get Cooper Kupp. They can't afford it. Cooper Kupp would have been phenomenal on the Commanders. Did I call them the Redskins? Yeah.
You may have.
Cooper
Kupp would have been phenomenal on the Commanders. Phenomenal.
Big. So I think, and I just wanted to make sure I was looking at it, and I did. So Kupp is you pretty much nailed that. Wow, that was really good. But that is the ballpark range. The problem with it is, all the new guarantees now, right, guys? Like I think we've been talking about all these that's it. Joseph, he's Jacksonville. So, that is
where careers go to die.
Looking for a long-term deal there where we know they will give it to him. So like they have done that before, and that's a market that will pay for a name for draw.
Yeah, I don't know if you're Cooper Kupp.
I mean,
do you go to Seattle because Seattle's looking? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, at this point, if I was him, I would take Seattle over Jacksonville because number one, To me, Sam Darnold's had a better in just this past year. He's had a better career so far in what 3 years of Trevor Lawrence.
Which is wild because Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the next big thing.
He was supposed to be Jesus with a football. He was supposed to be QB Jesus. Didn't happen.
And then,
Got his head coach fired.
What about, is Stephon Diggs a free agent?
Not that I know of.
No.
I was saying maybe
I mean,
maybe he could go to Houston.
No.
Isn't that where he was?
No, he was in the Rams.
Rams.
We're about, and you know what? There's another thing is, we're about to see how good Brock Purdy is. Because
Yeah, no, we're not. That's the funny thing. We're not.
they're just they're just cutting everyone. I wouldn't mind seeing the Eagles sign Kyle Juszczyk, or however you say his name.
The fullback.
I love that dude.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. He's.
I'm kind of disappointed. I'm kind of upset that 49ers are starting to dismantle this team so quickly. They didn't really stick around long to try and build it up or support. I know they had injuries that they were trying to fight through, especially Christian McCaffrey. That's pretty detrimental to any season. But I was kind of enjoying the Eagles 49ers rivalry. I don't think it's going to be. They are restructuring, and they gave up pretty much within what. Two years on that core.
There was no rivalry.
No, I think there could have been. I think there could have been. I think there could have been.
They blew us out of the water. They took our heart and our soul 2 years ago, and then we took their heart and soul 3 years ago when they put a backup tight end to block the number one sack guy, and then ripped off Brock Purdy's arm.
Yeah, there was no
the backups arm, and then the backups arm.
Yeah. Well, the backups.
Yeah,
So
there was no rivalry there.
I wanted there to be one.
So I heard an interesting thing, and maybe we can end the show on this. So I know the Eagles won in 2022 and they lost in the Super Bowl. And obviously, do you think this was a better Super Bowl run than in 2022? Like more enjoyable?
It's a good question. I really did enjoy this one a lot more than 2 years ago. This one, this team was just too good, just too good. Like they really did going into the Super Bowl. They completely embraced that underdog mentality again because they just got disrespected all across the board. This team this past season was the most complete Eagles team I've ever seen in the short amount of time I've been on this world. They were just so complete. They were put together well. They were almost flawless, and it was fun to watch. Like I saw that defense, how they played, and I was not just proud to be an Eagles fan, but I had confidence. They took that field. I was already calling a win.
Andy?
So for me,
it's kind of like one of those situations where I don't know if this year would be as cool if 22 didn't happen and the way it did happen, but I'm with Eric. The technicality of football this year, there was adaptation. There was I think we asked Jalen Hurts to be better as a quarterback, cleaner as a quarterback. He was, and that is what makes him elite. That he was asked to fix things. Those things were fixed, and it was such a more technical, progressive year that without 22, 24 doesn't look the way it does and feel as good as it does because it was so much cleaner. So I think by all means, the road to victory on this one was so much nicer because of what 22 did to us.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think 2022. I think that run was absolutely horrendous. They blew out the Giants 38-7, and then they blew out the 49ers 31-7, and then they lost 38-35. And you look at this run, and like, do you remember what you were doing when the Eagles beat the Giants 38-7 2 years ago? I sat in my house. When they beat the 49ers, I sat in Monkey's Uncle. The store was closed and we watched the game. They lost the Super Bowl. I sat in I sat in a house in Frankfurt, down the street from Frankfurt Common, with the intention of going. This year, I had 4 beers during the Packers game. Had 6 beers during the Rams game, and aged about 4 years. And, while they beat the bullshit out of the Washington Commanders, it was a way more better game than beating the bullshit out of the 49ers. And it was more exciting because, you had, oh my God, Jalen Hurts. Only one person can save us from Jalen Hurts throwing for 118 yards in the Super Bowl, and that was Jaden Daniels. And the Eagles came out and absolutely shit all over that team. Dropped a 55-point burger on them, and then you go into the Super Bowl, and I did a roundtable show on Super Bowl Sunday. There's 2 Eagles fans and myself and another Chiefs fan. And we were all in agreement the Eagles were going to win. But the difference in this game would have been was the defense, and that there was going to be a pick 6. We all picked Quinyon Mitchell. No one had Cooper DeJean, which would have been the ideal pick because it was his birthday. We had a Kansas City fan on who said the score was going to be 38-35 Chiefs. The Chiefs were nowhere near 35 points. So for me, this run was so much better because it wasn't boring. And as much as I hate that Rams game, and it absolutely sucked, there's no one on that game, no one who watched that game enjoyed that game from beginning to end until they hit 0. Then you were like, oh, thank God. But, that was, I think this run will be special. You got to remember something. They did go 4-0 because they were a second-round seed. They did go 4-0. That's not many teams can go 4-0 in the playoffs. They're usually wild card teams.
Yeah,
That's
you're right with that.
That's my long-winded answer.
Well, I wouldn't have expected anything less. Yeah. The other thing that got me for this season was the difference in Jalen Hurts. Like there's video of him saying, like how like he was pissed off, and like how he left that field in the Super Bowl in 22. He said that motherfucker stuck with me. It ate him alive. And then after how the season before this past one just went with the collapse, he literally was a motivated guy. I love the video of him walking into the day before the Super Bowl, walking down the tunnel. He's wearing the white tracksuit, the jumpsuit, and he looks up. He looks up at that screen and sees everybody picking Kansas City, and he just doesn't faze him one friggin' bit. That man put his chin up in the air and kept walking like, I got something for your ass. I got something for your ass. And he did it. And that was the leadership that, it was just, that did it for me there. I saw that video and I was like, that game's ours. And then, of course, when the loudest Eagles chant in the history of Eagles chants happened was they got called out onto the field. I knew that game was over then. I knew it then.
Dude, when they called that up and I was at Keith's house and I was like, oh, we're winning this game. because that was crazy how loud that was. And if you remember, they introduced the Chiefs first, and they had to drown out the boos with the chop.
Yep.
But yeah, and you know what? And you listen, I always thought I held a grudge. Like Lane Johnson, there's one dude I would not want to be pissed off at me for years then, because he was like, "You remember?" And you know what? Even Nick Sirianni, because you know when they showed that Mike episode, 1 sack, that's 2, that's 3,
That's
that's
2.
4. Like
It
and
stuck with them.
That stuck with him, and I know. And again, we always go back to me and you had the debate after the Week 4 loss to. Who did they lose to in Week 4? Oh, when that Tampa Bay game, when you know that
They got select.
Well, the one stat was they had 255 yards and the Eagles had 0, and that team went on to win the Super Bowl. You would have thought you were nuts, but you know, and people were calling, and you know, this he gets this team going, and he reminds each player of what it's about. And again, I think Sirianni and Lane Johnson are 2 dudes that I don't want them having grudges against me, because if it wasn't for the absolute blowout of being up by 34 points, Sirianni would have been a college football guy and would have left Jalen Hurts in, but he did the right move and he kept the starters out so that, you know, your season's going to be starting in 5 months anyway, like your OTAs. He was like, nah, we're up 34. Let them eat, because Jalen wanted to put another 50 spot on them.
And he was like, "Are you sure? You sure we're done? You sure?" And then you see him on the sideline. He's like, "I'll take it to their ass." So
I think Saquon and Devontae are like, "We're up 40 points." He's like, "I don't care." I was like, "Oh shit, that is not a guy I want to piss off anytime soon." And
So-
that's go ahead, Andy.
I want to kind of like push back a little bit, and I know obviously you two gentlemen you sound like you're very fine supporters of Mr. Jalen Hurts. So I'm not trying to sway you, but if anyone's listening, or if
we weren't.
Well, I think that's okay. I think I can hear in your voices that there's recognition of skill and talent. I think I'm going to push back, and if you're going to listen to this on replay, or if you're going to comment in the Facebook, I'm just trying to, as your little intern here, I'm trying to plug your channels, gentlemen. Thank you for joining tonight. It's not the wrap up, but I want to just say we can be found on Broken Bell Network on YouTube, Facebook, and as always, the Philly Network page on Facebook. But I'm going to push back, and I want to ask the question: when you say or state, and this goes for any media out there, and I don't care if you've played in the game, I don't care if you're considered a Hall of Famer, I don't care if you've got a podcast out there, your mic isn't more important than anyone else's. You're a person. When you keep making statements like Jalen Hurts isn't elite, what does that exactly mean to you? Do you have a rubric that we can look at so we can make sure that he is not elite to you by your rubric? I think the pushback is that's a made-up word, right? So unless you put some standards to what elite means, right? If you want to put a ring on it, there we go. You want to put appearances on it, you still got that. You want to talk about playoffs, you've got that. If you want to talk about stats, we can do it. We can do all those things. But I would just wish people would stop it for the clickbaiting and the rage baiting and all that other stuff. For just, if you want to be popular, that's great. Why don't you just be good at your job?
yeah, Keith, I'd said before, I talked about someone that I absolutely loathe as a broadcaster. He was even worse as a football player. Chris Sims.
Oh, I wanted to guess. I wanted to say, was this the guy, the best thing about him? Go ahead.
Best thing about Chris Sims, ran down the back of his mother's leg. That's all. That son of a bitch. Okay, that dude literally. And I tweeted at the dickhead too, and he never responded to me. Go figure. That dude, man, I swear to God, someone that has no friggin' talent whatsoever and just lives off the last name that he was given by the grace of God should literally just shut his mouth.
What
Should
did
just
you say?
absolutely
What's the best part of him? Where did that come from?
ran down the back of his mother's leg. Ran down the back of his mother's leg. And you can thank, and I took that line from Jackie Gleason, I believe from Smoking the Bandit too.
Yeah. I'm every time you're playing it, I just want to make sure the fart sound went off because I was just okay. Yeah, I think that's the main pushback. So if you're listening to this or whatever it may be, I think that's the edict. Hey, you may never listen to this. You may never come by it. But hey, if you're on the internet and you're of that Jalen is not elite or any of those things, you can come say why. You can talk about why. I think the boys would have. Yep, the boys will have you on. We can always set it up. We are in the process of Broken Bell Network trying to expand. We are going to do some call-ins with your voices, the callers, the listeners. We appreciate you listening. How many do we have on? Oh boy, look who we have a new co-host, Eric.
Oh yeah.
Look
Who's that?
Look who joined the show. You're getting trolled by Chris Lahiff.
I am.
Yeah, your new name is Chris Sims on there.
Oh.
Oh yeah, Chris Sims. Okay, yeah, look at that. Okay, yeah, well, okay, yeah, funny. Get that name off our screen. That son of a bitch. Anyway,
he does hate him. Like it's not even.
Couldn't tell. Not at all. It just seemed like that was completely natural response to another human's name.
Yeah, I can see some video clips popping up in the near future.
People feel that way about a lot of I love Stephen A. Smith. I know what he's doing. I get it. I get whatever. And I know it makes some people hate him. Whatever. Great. But I am being very sincere and honest. I think a lot of people are saying things about Jalen Hurts that is very ambiguous because you don't want to commit to what elite means. Are you going to tell me Dan Marino's not elite?
It's just like I say it all the time. When you go back to the fan base of the Philadelphia sports fan base and saying they did this, they did that. It's lazy. It's a lazy narrative. It's lazy writing. It's lazy covering the team when you talk about the fans. It's lazy to just say Jalen Hurts is not elite without having the stats to back it up. Do you want all his 1-yard push touchdowns to be 1-yard touchdown passes? Would that be a difference to everybody else? That's my question that I ask everyone else. It's not my fault that my quarterback can squat 7,000 pounds and push himself and roll over a 300-pound lineman at the 1. That's not my fault.
I bet you he can throw that football right over those mountains. Uncle Rico. I mean, listen.
With Devontae Smith on the other side catching it for the dagger.
Yeah, you're right. And so I think that's why that got shot down. People have realized that is the attribute of a team. And I think it was also got laughed down because the team that suggested it tried to do it and failed miserably at it. And they were like, that's not fair.
And they looked horrible. They legitimately looked like me trying to tush push.
Yeah, I think my point is that got laughed out of. I think it has real legitimacy. If it wasn't going to get shit canned 3 years ago, there's no way now it's getting shit canned.
I would like to thank Garage Beer for getting me through this show and getting me through free agency.
I should have been drinking tonight after my. God damn it.
When I turn 21, can you take me to get my first Garage Beer, Chris?
Yes.
All right, gents. So is that it for tonight?
Yep. If do our sign out, Andy, or did you already do it?
Yeah. I
No.
all the socials and things like that. Right, they're in the links in the videos. What do you got,
And
Eric?
don't forget, everyone, head on over to brokenbellshop.com. Somebody has merchandise now. Ding.
All right.
Yeah.
And I will say one more thing. We do have an upcoming show next Tuesday. We're doing a wrestling draft on the NAP podcast. We're not doing baseball tomorrow, right?
Nope.
Jerry?
Nope.
right.
Not on.
All right,
But
so-
we have new staff at the network. You guys brought me on. You have Tyler doing some
Tyler
great
Wirtz, who is our instant reaction guy.
good stuff.
Let me tell you,
His videos.
I've seen it. His videos are hysterical for me. I love them. I'm like, this guy's so into it. This is great. I love it.
He makes the Sixers interesting. I was
Somebody
like, oh,
has to.
maybe I should watch.
And then you turn him on and you're like, God damn you, Tyler.
You sold me a bill of goods, you sweet cherubic angel.
But yeah, we're doing a wrestling draft on Tuesday the 18th, I believe.
Yeah, Tuesday the
then-
18th.
And then Wednesday on the 19th, we actually, the way I'm about to say this is so like an 80s TV show. We have a special episode where we're having Ryan Quigley on, who, if people don't know, Ryan Quigley is, he was in New Orleans on January 1st when the shooting happened, and one of his best friends was killed. But he was a huge Eagles fan. The Eagles invited him to the NFC Championship game. He met Saquon. They ended up inviting him to the Super Bowl, so he was there with the Super Bowl, and he ended up getting carried on to the bus by the Eagles offensive lineman. So we're going to talk to him and about his experiences with the NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl, and the parade, because he ended up going on stage with Saquon.
Yeah, he did.
So that just tells you to show you how good of a dude Saquon Barkley is.
Yeah, just so that's March 18th, right?
No, March 18th is the draft. March 19th, next
19th.
Wednesday.
All right.
It's the Ryan Quigley's episode.
Sorry, I just got hired today. I'm a temp, so I'm trying to figure this out. So March
Next week-
18th,
Next
wrestling.
week it'll be Andrew the intern.
I'm hoping that you guys tell the agency that I did great tonight. So we have March 18th, March 19th, and March 20th. We have baseball. So we have a whole week of shows coming up next week as we are expanding on Broken Bell Network. Eric, do you want to take our illustrious team out tonight?
Absolutely. And like, hey, by the way, man, don't talk to me like you're trying to take over. Anyway, I'm just going to say, anyway, guys, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight on the Philly podcast.
I hate it here.
We're just living our best lives, having a good time with a new network. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I couldn't see how many people were actually watching the show tonight. For whatever reason, I didn't get all that info up here.
Yeah, it did say it. I don't have it on my side. Do I have admin access?
Yeah.
I'm trying to take over. How can I take over without admin access?
Yeah,
Jesus
good thing
Christ,
you're an
take us
intern.
out.
So,
Take us out.
all right, everyone. Thank you again for watching this episode of the Philly podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Like Andy said earlier, check us out on all our socials. Like Chris has it up there at CEV Sports for X. Check us out on Facebook. And again, check out BrokenBellShop.com for all of our brand new merch and more to come from other shows on the Broken Bell Network. Have a good night, everyone.
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's easy to sum it up. We talking about practice.
Because it's about as casual as it gets.
What's the problem now?
That's a clown question, bro.
I think we ought to see him beat him at least.
World champions!
Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Philadelphia, looking as only you can look. Woo!